AquaTread is a 33-foot fountain. Aboard AquaTread, owner and throttle man Anthony Rappin from St. Clair, Michigan. Driver today, Thomas McQueen of Mount Clemens, Michigan. You're looking at AquaTread. AquaTread, as well as the other boats, now are heading for the milling area, getting ready for the start of the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. There's Toucan Racing. A lot of competition in B class. Toucan Racing's a 33-foot power play. Aboard Toucan Racing, driver Paul Stanick from Pompano Beach, Florida. At the throttle, David Gerzak from Sterling Heights, Michigan. Now there's AquaTread again. The crew looks real comfortable in those racing bolsters, getting ready for the race. You're looking at AquaTread, the AquaTread racing team. They're the U.S. offshore officials aboard the first pace boat. That is the Hustler pace boat. By the way, Hustler powerboats are manufactured in Hampton Bays, Long Island, and they're going to be the pace boats for the U.S. offshore for the rest of the 1993 racing season. Now there's the second pace boat. Now as we look at the milling area, there's AquaTread and Fever. Runaway right there. There's Wave Hippie. Once again, there are over 25 boats in this first race, which includes the A, B, and F class. And, of course, the second race will include the Open, the Modified, the Pro Stock, and the Super Stock. And there we look at the milling area. And there's the orange smoke, which signals the fact that the race is just a short while away. Once again, we see the orange smoke. Boats in the background, waiting for the beginning of this first race. Boats are now lining up. Once again, the water conditions in the bay are rather calm, so it should be a pretty fast start at least. And as we see the boats picking up some speed, we see Fever, we see AquaTread, we see Great Adventure. And the race is just a few moments away. Boats lining up. On the inside, there's Fever and Toucan Racing. As we pan over to the middle, we see Rock Solid, Fountain, and Ken's Oil in the middle of the pack. Once again, Fever on the inside, Toucan Racing, Rock Solid, and Fountain. We've got the green flag, and the race has begun, and it looks like Shockwave has gone to the immediate lead, followed by Rock Solid, Ken's Oil, and Fever. This is the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. As the pace boat peels away, we see that Shockwave is in the lead, followed by Rock Solid, Ken's Oil, and Fever on the inside. There's Fever on the inside in B class. Fever is a 28-foot Mata, powered by two 550 horsepower Zool racing engines and Merc Cruiser drives. Aboard Fever, driver Joseph Grove from Belmore, New York. There you see Ken's Oil and Rock Solid, and of course Shockwave in the lead. There's Fever on the inside. Aboard Fever, we have Joseph Grove as the driver. On the throttle, Joe Lantona from Merrick, New York. Navigating, Jeff Cropper from Dix Hills, New York. There's Ken's Oil, and we have Rock Solid on the outside. Now you're looking at the crew there of Fever and their racing bolsters. Fever B6 also won first place at the Montauk Grand Prix. There's Ken's Oil and Rock Solid and Fever on the inside, and Shockwave. A lot of competition, all very, very close to each other there. Some heavy-duty racing going on right now. And there, of course, the spectators are watching all of this as they go through the cut. There's Rock Solid on the outside, Shockwave there in the middle, and on the inside, Fever. This is the hotly contested battle we were looking for in B class, and we've got it. There's Shockwave and Fever fighting it out with Rock Solid on the outside. Now we're on board Fever. There's the Fever racing team, and there on the right side, on the right side of our picture is Shockwave. And there you see Shockwave just a little bit ahead of Fever, both battling it out here in B class. They're going through the cut. There's the crew of Fever. On board, we have driver Joe Scrow from Belmore, New York. At the throttle on the right side of our picture, Joe Latona from Merrick, New York. And navigating, is Jeff Cropper from Dix Hills, New York. You're looking at the Fever Racing Team. Good view of what they see in this 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. Those Zool Racing engines sound excellent. By the way, the Fever Racing Team would like to thank S&S Propeller, Rick Zool, of course, for his motors, and Al Grover's Marine in Freeport. B6 Fever, by the way, took first place at the Montauk Grand Prix earlier this year with an average speed of 81.01 miles per hour. Once again, there's Fever on the inside, Shockwave on the outside, and Rock Solid on the far outside. Heavy competition here in B class. We thought the bumpy waters perhaps in Lake Erie would slow the boats down somewhat, but not at all. They're doing very, very fine, and the speeds are very quick. And there's a lot of competition going on here in B class between Shockwave and Fever. Two boats that are evenly matched, who have been competing all year. Matter of fact, Shockwave came in second place at the Montauk Grand Prix, and Fever in first place in that same race earlier this year. There's Shockwave on the outside. Shockwave has two 550 horsepower Bandit inboards. Fever has 550 horsepower Zool Racing engines. So there's some competition going on there engine-wise. There's a 28-foot Manta Fever. On board, driver Joseph Scrow from Belmore, New York. At the throttle, Joe Latona from Merrick, and Jeff Cropper navigating. Jeff's from Dix Hills, New York. And, of course, there's Shockwave, a little glimpse there on the outside, trying to make up a little ground. Good competition. Good racing going on here between two great crews and two terrific boats. Just listen to those engines. Joe Latona doing an excellent job at the throttle. We wish the Fever Racing Team the very best during this race. You're looking at the Fever Racing Team. This is the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. If you look closely, you'll see our onboard camera on the engine scoop of the Fever Racing Team right there on the outside. Once again, Fever is currently in first place in B class. You're looking at the Fever Racing Team. There's Rock Solid on the outside. And Shockwave B71. You're looking at the Shockwave Racing Team. Shockwave is powered by two 550 horsepower Bandit inboards and Mercruiser outdrives. Aboard Shockwave, driver Kurt Berger from Brick, New Jersey. At the throttle, Mike Fiore from Hampton, New York. Navigating, Rich Tropoli from Toms River, New Jersey. You're looking at the Shockwave Racing Team. Shockwave B71 took second place at the Montauk Grand Prix earlier this year with an average speed of 78.79 miles per hour. Fine jump there, Shockwave. Those Hustler Powerboats doing a fine job handling the water conditions. On the outside, there's Ken's Oil, and on the far outside, Rock Solid. Navigator Rich Tropoli from Toms River, New Jersey would like to thank Paul Fiore from Hustler Powerboats and also Kurt Berger for building these fine engines. He's doing a fine job. Just listen to those Bandit inboards. B71 Shockwave. Some of the other competition in B class include Rock Solid, Fever, Ken's Oil, Toucan Racing, and Aquatred. We think that Shockwave is really a fine-looking boat, good sounding boat, and is going to offer the rest of the field some fine competition for the rest of the 1993 season. Shockwave B71. Currently in third place in B class is V8, Pennzoil. Pennzoil is a 32-foot Tiger Viper, powered by two 300-horsepower shipwreck engines and Mercury drives. Aboard Pennzoil, driver Doug Popma from Grand Rapids, Michigan. At the throttle, Ken McMartin. He's also the owner, and he's also from Grand Rapids. You're looking at Pennzoil, V8, currently third in B class. Ken McMartin from Grand Rapids doing a fine job at the throttle. Look at that jump there. Those boats are handling real well in these choppy waters here in Lake Erie. Pennzoil took third place in the kilo run. He came in with an average speed of 91.6 miles per hour. In second was Shockwave with 91.8. And in first place in the kilo run in B class was Fever with 91.9. As you can see, the B class is very competitive, all within perhaps a tenth of a mile per hour. Now we're on another B boat, B96 Parts Plus. Parts Plus is a 33-foot fountain, powered by two 500-horsepower Mercury inboards and Mercruiser outdrives. Aboard Parts Plus, driver Jeff Haley from Coldwater, Michigan. At the throttle, Brad Myers, also from Coldwater. Parts Plus took second place earlier this year in Lake Peoria with an average speed of 87.36 miles per hour. You're looking at B96 Parts Plus. The Parts Plus sponsors include Parts Plus, Myers Super Value, and Haylett Signs. You're looking at the Parts Plus Rush Racing Team. The Freeze Frame Video crew would like to thank Jeff Haylett for making the Freeze Frame Video stickers for the 1993 season. Parts Plus Rush Racing Team, B96. There's Jeff Haylett of Coldwater, Michigan, driving, and Brad Myers at the throttle. Both doing a fine job during this race, this second national race of the U.S. Offshore for this year. There you see some of the spectator boats in the background. And of course the shores of Lake Erie also. Great place to watch a race. And of course there are the spectators as we go through the cut. We understand that perhaps 25,000 spectators were expected today to watch this race. The weather certainly has cooperated. A fine day to watch the race. We wish the Parts Plus Rush Racing Team the very best of luck during the rest of the 1993 racing season. In A class, A12 RC Marine, a 30-foot superboat with a yellow hull and deck, powered by two 385-horsepower Zool inboards and Mercruiser outdrives. Driving RC Marine, Steve Abbott from Laurel Hollow, New York. At the throttle, RC, he's from West Islip, New York. Navigating, Steve Sokolich, he's from Astoria, New York. RC Marine took first place in Montauk earlier this year with an average speed of 74.43 miles per hour, and also third place at Newburyport. The RC Marine Racing Team would like to give special thanks to Rich Silvestri. He's the chief mechanic, for his hard work and dedication. Also MRD for all their help and support, and Richie Zool for his contributions to the team, as well as Matt Koenig from Amsoil for always being there when needed. RC says that he also has special thanks to his daughter Melissa. You're looking at the RC Marine Racing Team. That's a 30-foot superboat manufactured right in Lindenhurst, Long Island. Of course, there are the many spectators, the thousands of spectators that turned out for this race. Second national race for the U.S. Offshore for 1993. You're looking at the RC Marine Racing Team. Who looks fairly comfortable there in their racing bolsters. Now there we go. We have an onboard camera aboard RC Marine, and this is what the race looked like at the very beginning as we are making some headway here through Presque Isle Bay as we're heading through the cut there you can see ahead of us. And as you can see, the waters are fairly calm, so RC Marine is making very good time there in the beginning of the race. Some of the other competition in A class and along with RC Marine include Great Adventure, Texas Gold, Runaway, Crazy Rhythm, Wave Hippie, and Fountain. We're looking at RC Marine at the beginning of the race as we're heading through the cut, heading towards Lake Erie. Once again, you can see the water is almost flat, not quite, but very, very calm. Very good way to start a race. You're looking from our onboard camera. A little back and forth there a little bit, but in control. Now, if you look on the left side, you're going to see Great Adventure alongside RC Marine here, a little bit ahead of RC Marine. They're battling it out here in A class as they're heading towards the cut. And we're just about in the cut now, and there you see Great Adventure on the left side making some headway, and we get splashed. At that point, we don't see too much. But nonetheless, a nice shot here, a vantage point from what the driver and the rest of the crew members see here during the beginning of this race. RC Marine averaged 78 miles per hour during the kilo run before this race. You're looking at the RC Marine racing team. Again, there are the many spectator boats in the background on the shores of Lake Erie. Just listen to those Zool racing engines. We'd just like to say that Steve Sokolich is doing a fine job navigating as his RC from Islip, New York at the throttle, and driving as Steve Abbott from Laurel Hollow, New York. You're looking at the RC Marine racing team. Once again, the bumpy waters do not seem to be slowing down the boats. They're all making pretty good time there. Good speeds. There's Toucan Racing in B class, B20 on the inside, and Aquatred on the outside, B34. Toucan Racing is a 33-foot power play. Aquatred is a 33-foot fountain. So we got a battle going on there between a fountain and a power play in B class. Some good competition. Once again, there's Toucan Racing on the inside, a 33-foot power play powered by two 525 horsepower Mercury engines and Mercruiser drives. Aboard Toucan Racing, driver Paul Staniak from Pompano Beach, Florida. At the throttle, David Gerzak from Sterling Heights, Michigan. By the way, Toucan Racing came in third place at Lake Peoria early this year with an average speed of 80.01 miles per hour. There you see Aquatred on the outside. They're neck and neck, maneuvering to get ahead. Real good battle going on there in B class between Aquatred and Toucan Racing. As we were saying, Toucan Racing came in third place with an average speed of 80.01 at Lake Peoria earlier this year. Also in fifth place in Texas at the East-West Powerboat Shootout with an average speed of 70 miles per hour. There's Aquatred on the outside making its move, coming from behind and passing Toucan Racing. As we look back, we saw Tahoe also in B class. Now as we approach Aquatred, Aquatred is B34. It's a 33-foot fountain powered by two 520 horsepower shipwreck engines and Mercruiser drives. Driving Aquatred, Thomas McQueen from Mount Clemens, Michigan. At the throttle, Tony Raffin from St. Clair, Michigan. Navigating is Rick Conflitti from East Point, Michigan. Rick, by the way, is a new member of the team. Also a major sponsor, Red Carpet Kime Realty. The Aquatred Racing Team would like to thank some of its other sponsors. In addition to Red Carpet Kime Realty, there's Castrol Motor Oil, Jeffrey Buick Nissan, Bill's Towing, Graphics Lettering, Shipwreck Marine, Mangles Custom Wheels, Lapidus Publicity Group, Interstate Batteries, Fram, Autolite, Welding Dynamic, and Creative Deco. You're looking at the 33-foot fountain Aquatred. By the way, Aquatred took 4th place earlier this year at Lake Peoria with an average speed of 74.63 miles per hour. The Aquatred Racing Team is going to donate all its winnings for this year to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. A very nice gesture on the part of the Aquatred Racing Team. Tony Retread Raffin is doing a fine job at the throttle. You're looking at the Aquatred Racing Team. B-34 is having a problem. It looks like the boat is slowing down. Some technical problems possibly with B-34. Too bad. There's A-176, the Fountain. The Fountain is a 29-foot fountain powered by one 650-horsepower Troy Dennis with Merc Cruiser number 5 drives. The Fountain just hooked and almost spun out, but is back in control there. A close call for the Fountain Racing Team, but seems to be back in control now. Aboard the Fountain, driver Doug Lewis from Brick, New Jersey. At the throttle, Pat Patel, also from Brick. The A-176 Fountain took 4th place earlier this year at the Florida Boat State Championships, the APBA, with an average speed of 65.20 miles per hour. Also 2nd place at the East-West Powerboat Shootout, average speed of 61.30 miles per hour. And in 3rd place in Atlantic City earlier this year. You're looking at A-176, the Fountain Racing Team. Both driver and throttle man doing a fine job. Driver once again is Pat, or rather Doug Lewis. He's from Brick, New Jersey. Pat, as I was going to say, Pat Patel, he is at the throttle. As you saw a little bit earlier, just got out of a close call, but doing a fine job. Some of the other competition in the A class include Runaway, Texas Gold, Great Adventure, Wide Open, Dirty Dancer, and RC Marine. You're looking at the Fountain Racing Team. And once again, this is the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run on Lake Erie. The Fountain Racing Team. There's B-12 Rip and Tear. Rip and Tear is a 31-foot profile. That's Rip and Tear in B class. Rip and Tear is powered by two 525 horsepower Mercury inboards with Speedmaster drives. Aboard Rip and Tear is driver Dick Castellini from Vineland, New Jersey. As we look at Rip and Tear, we see Dirty Dancing in A class on the outside. At the throttle of Rip and Tear is Ed De Palma from Millville, New Jersey. Rip and Tear took 3rd place earlier this year in Montauk with an average speed of 70.15 miles per hour. You're looking at the Rip and Tear Racing Team. Doing a fine job. Some of the other competition in B class along with Rip and Tear include Aquatred, Parts Plus, Ken's Oil, Shockwave, Rock Solid, and Fever. And of course, there are the spectators lined up along that cut that separates Presque Isle Bay from Lake Erie. That's a great vantage point to watch this race. As we see B-12 Rip and Tear make its way through the cut. This is the 2nd national race for U.S. Offshore for this year, and U.S. Offshore's 5th race of the season so far. There's Rip and Tear. Dick Castellini at the driving and Ed DePaula at the throttle. Both doing a fine job. Both seems to have a good attitude, and those engines sound excellent. There's Crazy Rhythm currently in the lead pack in A class. A10 Crazy Rhythm is a 28-foot Magnum powered by two 425 horsepower Chevy engines and Merc Cruiser drives. Joey Turek from St. Charles, Illinois is driving Crazy Rhythm. At the throttle, Dave Bellickson. And navigating is Mike Hendrickson. And Dave is from Mount Clemens, Michigan, and Mike Hendrickson is from St. Charles, Illinois also. Some of the sponsors of Crazy Rhythm include Tanglewood Performance Marine, Sterling Homes, Tanglewood Kennels, Charlemagne Detailing, and Crazy Rhythm won the 1992 USORA Central Division Production Championship. You're looking at A10 Crazy Rhythm. Some of the other crew members on Crazy Rhythm include Winda Hendrickson, Lori and Joe Turek. We just like to say that we think that Lori and Joe bring their very special qualities to making the Crazy Rhythm racing team as competitive as it can be. You're looking at the Crazy Rhythm racing team, A10. Some of the other competitors in the A class include Texas Gold, Runaway, Great Adventure, Wide Open, RC Marine, and Wade Hippie. There's the Lake Erie shoreline in the background. This is the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. Great day for racing and a great race. You're looking at Crazy Rhythm. The throttle man doing an excellent job there aboard Crazy Rhythm, and the navigator and driver, they're right on course. You're looking at the Crazy Rhythm racing team. And there is Rip and Tear on the outside. Of course, Rip and Tear is in B class. There's Crazy Rhythm on the inside in A class. There's Rip and Tear passing Crazy Rhythm. As we look at Rip and Tear and Crazy Rhythm now, they're heading towards that cut, going towards Presque Isle Bay. There's Dirty Dancer A54. Dirty Dancer is a 25-foot Checkmate powered by one 600-horsepower Chevy inboard with a Merc Cruiser outdrive. The driver of Dirty Dancer, Bob Nothnagel from Rochester, New York. At the throttle, Tom Judd, also of Rochester. You're looking at Dirty Dancer A54. In 1992, Dirty Dancer took first place at the Kent Narrows, third place at Barnegat Bay, and also third place at Ocean City, and fifth place at the Northeast Points. This year, 1993, Dirty Dancer took fourth place at Montauk, New York, and first place at the Newburyport, Massachusetts event. The Dirty Dancer racing team would like to have a special thanks to Tom Anderson of Ontario Offshore Performance Specialist for all his dedication and effort in helping this team throughout the past 3 years. They also like to thank their other supporters such as South Shore Printers, The Signery, Farmer Automotive and Marine, Sutter South Bay Marina, and Steve's Custom Canvas for all their help. You're looking at A54 Dirty Dancer. Some of the other crew members of the Dirty Dancer racing team include Lynn Allen and Dee Goldstein. Some of the other competition in A-Class include Great Adventure, RC Marine, Fountain, and Crazy Rhythm. You're looking at A54, Dirty Dancer. Both driver and throttle man are doing a fine job. They're right on course. That 600 horsepower Chevy inboard sounds excellent, and Dirty Dancer has a good attitude. Both driver and throttle man look real comfortable in their racing bolsters. Doing a fine job. A9 wide open is a 27-foot Cobra powered by one 650 horsepower Mercury engine and Mercruiser drive. Aboard wide open, driver Mike Scarpa from Jersey City, New Jersey. At the throttle is Mark Pica, also from Jersey City. Wide open placed third in Montauk earlier this year with an average speed of 66.78 miles per hour. A9 wide open. Some of the other competition that Wide Open is facing in A-Class includes a Lap Dancer Junior, Wave Hippie, Texas Gold, Runaway. There's a throttle man and driver of Wide Open, Mike Scarpa and Mark Pica. Seem to have things under control. A little bumpy there, but making pretty good headway. As we said earlier, that the water in the lake would be somewhat bumpier as we went along later on in the race, and that's exactly what's happened, but the boats do not seem to be that affected by it. Of course, once they get into the Presque Isle Bay, the water there is pretty flat, and they're making very good time in the bay. Throttle man Mark Pica using that throttle, doing a fine job. That 650 horsepower Mercury engine sounds excellent as Wide Open makes its way through the lake. By the way, this is a comeback here for this area. Lake Erie really hasn't had any kind of race, any powerboat racing going on here for almost 3 years. Last race here was in 1990. So the people here are pretty excited about this comeback of powerboat racing to the Lake Erie area. And of course, this is the first national race here on Lake Erie ever. So a lot of excitement here at the first annual Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run on Lake Erie, Pennsylvania. We'd like to wish the Wide Open racing team the very best of luck for the 1993 season. Runaway A1 is a 28-foot Magnum powered by two 350 horsepower Mercury engines and Mercruiser drives. The driver of Runaway is Frank Fazzulo of Fork River, New Jersey. Frank Fazzulo is also the new owner of Runaway. At the throttle, Chuck Burt from Brick, New Jersey, and navigating Steve Seisla from Manahawkin, New Jersey. Runaway is A1 because it is the 1992 World Offshore Champion in A-Class. As we said, Runaway has a new owner, Frank Fazzulo from Fork River, New Jersey, and right now currently no sponsors for Runaway. So Frank Fazzullo and some of the other team members are looking for sponsors for Runaway. But they do have some team supporters, including the Bay Island Marina from Bricktown, New Jersey, and the Bayview Yacht Basin from Weirtown, New Jersey. Both are managed by Westrek. You're looking at A1 Runaway. As we said, Frank Fazzullo is the new owner, and he is the driver of Runaway. Of course, we wish him the very best of luck with Runaway for the 1993 racing season. Runaway is a good boat, a fine boat, which has proven itself in the past. It's been racing for the last 3 years, and as we said, is the 1992 World Offshore Champion in A-Class. Some of the other competition that Runaway is facing in A-Class include Great Adventure, RC Marine, Fountain, Crazy Rhythm, Wide Open, Lap Dancer Junior, Wave Hippie, and Texas Gold. A1 Runaway. Gone Bananas F1. Gone Bananas is a 24-foot banana with one 300-horsepower Johnson outboard. Aboard Gone Bananas, driver John Flanagan from Glastonbury, Connecticut. At the throttle, Rich Fortunato from Colchester, Connecticut. Once again, Gone Bananas is in the factory class, which means that really any stock boat with a single engine, outboard or inboard, can qualify and can run in this race. And the great thing about it is, of course, that you can also use this boat for pleasure as well as racing in the Flagship International Offshore Challenge. A great idea. Some of the other titles for the Gone Bananas racing team include second place earlier this year at Montauk with an average speed of 60.37 miles per hour. In 1992, Gone Bananas was the 1992 World Champion in F-Class, also North American Champion in F-Class, the Northeast High Points title in F-Class, the Northeast Regional Champion for F-Class as well. It also received the most checkered flags in 1992 and the most top 3 finishers for 1992. Sponsors include Fortunato Construction, Abacus Business Products, Atlantic Outboard, Vortex Artesian, Brushline Designs, and Micro Marine Services. You're looking at Gone Bananas F1 in the factory class. Gone Bananas is taking a little bit of a beating there from the bumpy waters in Lake Erie. Well, there's a big hit there on the outboard. Hopefully there wasn't any damage to it, but as you can see, the waters are getting pretty rough out there in Lake Erie. Gone Bananas, though, continues to make its way. Finding a little bit rough. Well, more than a little bit, actually. Oh, there's a hard hit. A hard hit, and it looks like it's definitely damaged the engine's metal bracket. And it looks like that Gone Bananas is out of the race. The metal bracket has been damaged, and they're out of it. they're out of it. It looked like the bumpy waters just proved too much for Gone Bananas. There's Ocean Outboard, currently in second place in factory class, and it's stopping to see if it can lend a hand, see if anyone is hurt. But it looks like that the crew of Gone Bananas is waving Ocean Outboard, saying, we're okay, we're fine, you guys get back in the race, we'll take care of it, we appreciate it, but get back in the race. And Ocean Outboard looks like it's circling somewhat, just double checking to see that everything's okay. Once again, it looks like that everyone is all right, no injuries involved, and the crew of Gone Bananas is basically thumbs up, saying, go ahead, Ocean Outboard, we're okay, thank you for the help. Gone Bananas had been in first place in factory class until, of course, it had that problem. Now Ocean Outboard, as we look at Ocean Outboard, is now in first place in factory class. And of course, that was nice of them, Ocean Outboard, to stop and see if they could help. Once again, there's Ocean Outboard F-16. It's a 21-foot Challenger powered by one 260-horsepowered Mercury outboard. Aboard Ocean Outboard, driver Tom Renk of Seaford, New York. At the throttle, Mike Gagliano, also of Seaford. Mike Gagliano would like to thank the whole crew over at Ocean Outboard for helping out with the boat. And Ocean Outboard is doing real fine this year. They took first place in Montauk with an average speed of 60.56. And also second place at Newburyport. And right now they're in first place, so we feel that probably they are in first place in factory class so far for this year as far as total points are concerned. You're looking at F-16 Ocean Outboard, currently in first place in factory class. Mike Gagliano at the throttle doing a fine job, as is driver Tom Renk, both of Seaford, New York. The only other competition in F-class for Ocean Outboard is Spoiled Banana. Gone Bananas, just a little earlier, we just saw that they had that problem, that engine problem. And W&P Associates, well, they had to retire after the first lap. So right now it's between Ocean Outboard and Spoiled Banana in F-class. Ocean Outboard currently #1 in F-class in this 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. Best of luck to the Ocean Outboard racing team for the 1993 season. There you see the bumpy waters doing a number on Ocean Outboard, but Ocean Outboard in control. Ocean Outboard, great attitude along these bumpy waters of Lake Erie. Ocean Outboard is right on course. This 21-foot Challenger has a great attitude. Mike at the throttle doing a fine job. This 2.4 Mercury outboard sounds excellent. Ocean Outboard currently in first place in F-class. Spoiled Banana F-57. There's Spoiled Banana. It's a 24-foot banana boat powered by one 300-horsepower Johnson outboard. There's the Spoiled Banana racing team. Rough waters there. Well, that's a hit. That's a pretty hard hit here that the engine just took, but apparently it's still okay. That 300 horsepower Johnson outboard which stood the jolt, and they're still in the race. Currently they are in second place in the F-class. Earlier this year, Spoiled Banana came in first place at Newburyport and fifth place at Montauk, New York. Some of the other crew members include Ron April, Carol Brown and Cheryl Brown. Now, the Spoiled Banana Racing Team would like to thank some of its sponsors, including John from Cisco's Pizza, Ernie Wurlitzer of Wurlitzer Distributor, which is a local Torco Racing Oil Distributor, Countywide Appliance, PGM Landscapes, and Kate Metal Fabricators. You're looking at Spoiled Banana F57. Some of the other crew members include the Crane family as well as the Brown family. So now in factory class, it's between Spoiled Banana and Ocean Outboard. And Spoiled Banana is currently running second in factory class. Of course, Ocean Outboard in first place. This is the last boat that we'll be covering in this first race, and soon we'll be having the final results for the A, B, and F classes here at the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run on Lake Erie, Pennsylvania. Also with Eastern Express and Gotcha in that same general area. There's Gifford Racing. And we also see Mr. Good Ranch also on the outside. Boats are lining up just a few moments away from the green flag. There's the rest of the field. Boats are all pretty much grouped together. There's Gifford Racing. How Sweet It Is too. Eastern Express. Gotcha. And Mr. Goodwrench. All lined up pretty closely, waiting for the green flag. And we're just a few moments away. There's Gifford Racing on the inside, and How Sweet It Is too, and then Eastern Express. Now we're going to go on board How Sweet It Is too in just a few moments to see what that feels like. There we go. They were on board How Sweet It Is too. We're sandwiched in between Gifford Racing and Eastern Express. And we're just a few moments away from the beginning of this race, and this is what it looks like. What you're seeing here is our approach to that cut which leads to Lake Erie. We're going through Presque Isle Bay here. And in just a few moments we will see Eastern Express, and there's Eastern Express on the right side, Gifford Racing on the left, and the green flag is down, and the second half of this 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge has begun. And there's How Sweet It Is too in between Gifford Racing on the left and Eastern Express on the right, heading for that cut into Lake Erie. How Sweet It Is too. C39 is a 32-foot skater powered by two 500-horsepower MRD engines with Mercruiser drives. The driver of How Sweet It Is too is Carlton Myers from Springfield, New York. At the throttle, James McIntyre of Freeport, New York. We're still looking from the onboard camera there as we're heading towards the cut. Now as we look at the field in the middle of the screen, you see Eastern Express taking the immediate lead. On the inside you've got Gifford Racing and How Sweet It Is too in the middle, with on the far outside Mr. Goodwrench. There's Gifford Racing. Mr. Goodwrench on the far outside, trying to catch up to Eastern Express, taking the immediate lead here in the second half of this 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge. There's Gifford Racing and Mr. Goodwrench fighting it out, with How Sweet It Is too in the middle, picking up some ground. Mr. Goodwrench on the far outside, maintaining. And in the lead, Eastern Express. Eastern Express is a 32-foot skater powered by two 700-horsepower Chevy engines and Mercruiser drives. There's Mr. Goodwrench on the outside, and How Sweet It Is too on the inside. Now as we look at the field, we go back to Eastern Express. Driving Eastern Express, Joe Brashami from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. At the throttle, Bob Carrick from Algonac, Michigan. There's Eastern Express. Now Eastern Express is once again taking the lead overall here, and it is number one currently in D class. It also took first place in Lake Peoria, Illinois earlier this year, and also first place in Montauk. There's Mr. Goodwrench on the far outside, and Eastern Express maintaining its lead. Eastern Express's sponsor is Eastern Produce. You're looking at the Eastern Express racing team. Bob Carrick doing a fine job at that throttle. Eastern Express has just gotten a tremendous start here in the second race of the Flagship International Offshore Challenge. This 32-foot skater seems to have just a great attitude so far. There's Team Jaguar, 35-foot Jaguar, powered by two 800-horsepower Mercury engines and Mercruiser number 4 drives. The driver of Team Jaguar, Gary Pearson of Westfield, New Jersey. Gary's, by the way, the president of the U.S. Offshore Racing Association. At the throttle, Jack Clark from Pembroke Park, Florida. Team Jaguar took second place in Montauk earlier this year with an average speed of 99.94 miles per hour. You're looking at the Team Jaguar racing team. Team Jaguar is owned by Gifford Marine, of Egg Harbor, New Jersey. Some of the other crew members include Steve Szilagyi, Jerry Folloween, Joe Halbrunner, Mike Burke, Sue Gifford, and Bill Gifford Jr. Throttle man Jack Clark is doing a fine job. Team Jaguar has a fine attitude at this point. Just listen to those Mercury engines. Before this race yesterday, Team Jaguar ran in the kilo run and set a record in the open class with an average speed of 123.21 miles per hour. Great job, Team Jaguar. As you can see, those waters in Lake Erie are rougher than they were this morning, but Team Jaguar is doing a fine job, and that boat has a great attitude. Once again, the driver of Team Jaguar is Gary Pearson, who is the U.S. Offshore president. Gary's from Westfield, New Jersey. Jack Clark is not only the throttle man, but he's also the builder of this 35-foot Jaguar. A fine piece of workmanship, as you can see as well as hear. Team Jaguar. And another fine piece of workmanship is this 40-foot Jaguar of Gifford Racing. It's powered by two 850 horsepower engines with number 6 Mercruiser drives. Driving Gifford Racing, Bill Gifford of Egg Harbor, New Jersey. At the throttle, Rich Dancision from Toms River, New Jersey. Gifford Racing took third place earlier this year in Montauk with an average speed of 92.48 miles per hour. And in the kilo run earlier, it had a speed of 112.56 miles per hour. Just listen to Rich Dancision on those throttles. Some of the other crew members aboard Gifford Racing include Steve Szilagyi, Jerry Folloween, Joe Halbrunner, Mike Burke, Sue Gifford, and Bill Gifford Jr. We'd like to give a special thanks also to Sue Gifford, who is the official scorekeeper for the U.S. Offshore Racing Association. You're looking at Gifford Racing. There's Rich Dancision, and just listen to how he's working those throttles aboard this 40-foot Jaguar. The Gifford Racing team would like to thank its sponsors, including Bell Atlantic and Sunoco Racing Fuels. You're looking at the Gifford Racing team, currently right on course. Doing a fine job. This is the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. Second national race for U.S. Offshore this year, and its 5th race of the season. We wish the Gifford Racing team the very best of luck during the rest of the 1993 season. Currently in first place in D class is Eastern Express, a 32-foot skater powered by two 700-horsepower Chevy engines and Merc Cruiser drives. Driving Eastern Express, Joe Bershami from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. At the throttle, Bob Carrick from Algonac, Michigan. Now, Eastern Express took first place in Lake Peoria, Illinois. And now, as you know, this is the second leg of the Great Lakes Trophy Series. And considering that Eastern Express took first place in Lake Peoria, right now it is in first place in D-Class for that trophy series. It also took first place in Montauk with an average speed of 85.98 miles per hour. You're looking at Eastern Express. Those Chevy engines sound excellent. And there are some of the expected 25,000 spectators watching this race. Watching along the shoreline there of the cut as Eastern Express makes its way through the cut. The Eastern Express racing team. And there you see the Merc Cruiser drives. Currently number one, Eastern Express currently number one in D-Class. There's a little competition going on there between Wits End and C-Class and Tough Enough in P-Class on the outside. Wits End on the inside is a 32-foot skater powered by two 500-horsepower Mercury engines and Merc Cruiser drives. Driving Wits End, Bobby Whitko of Albany, New York. At the throttle, James DeNuyer from Bolton's Landing, New York. Wits End came in second earlier this year in Montauk with an average speed of 85.41 miles per hour. You're looking at the Wits End racing team. Throttle man Jim DeNuyer is doing a fine job there at the throttle, as is Bobby Whitko driving Wits End. Wits End currently is number one in C-Class. There are those Mercury outdrives. Good attitude. Engines sound excellent. No problem for Wits End at this point. Some of the other competition in C-Class, Mr. Goodwrench, Gotcha, and how sweet it is too. You're looking at the Wits End racing team. Wits End racing team is right on course. Throttle man Jim DeNuyer, as we said before, is doing a fine job there, maintaining first place in C-Class. There you see Erie, Pennsylvania there in the background, some of the shoreline. This is really a great site to watch a race because you've got Presque Isle Bay, which is obviously enclosed, and people can watch along the shoreline as well as the cut. And they can have a great vantage point really up close as the boats are going by. Right behind the Wits End racing team is the Patriot racing team. The Patriot is a 35-foot motion powered by three 2.5 EFIs. The driver is Lisa Greger of Orlando, Florida. At the throttle, Bob Hamlin from Huntersville, North Carolina. There you see the spectators along the side. They're increasing. More people are out there because now the big boats are racing. You're looking at the Patriot racing team. Now, as we look at the Patriot, we swing up ahead a little bit and we see Wits End, which is currently in first place in C-Class. The Patriot racing team has done fairly well this year. Placed fourth at the East-West Powerboat Shootout in Corpus Christi, Texas. Third place at Fort Apache Hooligans with an average speed of 81.25. And third place in Atlantic City. There's the Patriot. Patriot is rigged by Engle Marine and maintained by Mike Belgium. There, as we look at those 3 2.5 EFIs. Seems that Mike has done a fine job maintaining this boat, as you see it and hear it as well. Just listen to those engines. That is the Patriot Racing Team. By the way, the sponsor of the Patriot is the Environmental Source Samplers. Some of the other competition in the Pro Stock class is High Risk, Tough Enough, Stylin', Jaws, and Insanity. The Patriot Racing Team also ran the Kilo Run at a speed of 101 miles per hour. Those 2.5 EFIs certainly performed in that Kilo Run. You're watching the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge, the second national race for the U.S. Offshore Racing Association. As we see Bob Hamlin in the cockpit throttling, those 2.5 EFIs sound excellent. The Patriot Racing Team would like to thank Mike Belgium for maintaining the boat and doing a fine job. In P class, there's Stylin' on the inside and High Risk on the outside, fighting for position in P class. We believe that it's probably here third and fourth place, with Stylin' in third and High Risk in fourth place, fighting for position right now. As you're looking at High Risk on the outside, going out to Stylin' on the inside, we believe currently in third place. The P-17 Stylin' race team is a 32-foot skater powered by three 2.5 EFIs. The driver is Al Rulo from Schenectady, New York. At the throttle, Jason Saris from Lake George, New York. You're looking at P-17 Stylin'. Stylin' is rigged and maintained by Performance Marine, which is in Lake George, New York. Some of the sponsors include Capital Land and Auto Bear Express. You're looking at the Stylin' race team. We believe currently in third in P class. Jason Saris doing a fine job at the throttle. Those 2.5 EFIs sound excellent. Just listen. There's Rick Felsen in High Risk in fourth place in P class. And now we're back to Stylin', just a little bit ahead in third place. Some of the other competitors in the Pro Stock class include Patriot, Tough Enough, Stylin' is right on course as Al Rulo, the driver. This 28-foot Douglas skater, as you can see, has really no problems going through these choppy water conditions. One of the other crew members is Richard DeSantis of this DeSantis Chevy. And looks like the entire crew did a wonderful job getting this boat ready for the race today. And there are those two 2.5 Mercury outboards. You're looking at DeSantis Chevy. currently in first place in S class. Currently in second place in C class, Mr. Goodwrench, a 28-foot Challenger, powered by two 750 horsepower Chevy engines with Merc Cruiser drives. Jim Aggles is the driver and throttle man. Navigating is Phil McCombs. Jim Aggles is from Peoria, Illinois. Mr. Goodwrench came in second place in Lake Peoria, Illinois earlier this year. Took third in Montauk with an average speed of 73.27 miles per hour. Some of the other crew members include Sean Bowers, Mike Bowers, Joe Maxwell, Digash, and Wayne Parker. Some of the sponsors: Chevrolet, GM Parts, Challenger, more power. Mr. Goodwrench was the 1992 Central Division champion. You're looking at the Mr. Goodwrench racing team, currently in second place. Jim Aggles doing a fine job driving and throttling there, as we just saw some of the spectators along the cut as Mr. Goodwrench makes his way through that cut. What a great place to see the race. Just see those boats go by up close. Once again, Mr. Goodwrench running number 2 in second place in C class. As you might remember, Mr. Goodwrench had a great start, along with How Sweet It Is and Eastern Express, and it's still right there, doing really well in second place in C class. Mr. Goodwrench. Boat has a good attitude. The engines sound real fine. There's Feeling Wet, S9, a 30-foot Cobra, powered by two 2.5 EFIs. On board driver Gary Riccio of Point Pleasant, New Jersey. At the throttle, Brian Riccio of also Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Once again, there's Feeling Wet. And out in front of Feeling Wet is Hot and Nasty, also a 30-foot Cobra powered by two 2.5 Mercury EFIs. There's the Jaws racing team as we look back on the field of Feeling Wet and Hot and Nasty. And there we are with Jaws again. Jaws is a 32-foot superboat powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Driver of Jaws, Ronnie Appleby from Durnville, New Jersey. At the throttle, David Horseman from Hackettstown, New Jersey. Navigating, John Stallings from Denville, New Jersey. Jaws took second place in Montauk earlier this year with an average speed of 80.68 miles per hour. You're looking at the Jaws racing team. 32-foot superboat. Some of the other competition in the Pro Stock class along with Jaws include Patriot, High Risk, Tough Enough, Stylin', and Insanity. There's Jaws. Once again, we see Jaws going through the cut. Spectators have a grand view of the race there. There's S3 Hot and Nasty again. Hot and Nasty is a 30-foot Cobra powered by two 2.5 Mercury EFIs. Billy Mouth of Setauket, Long Island is driving. At the throttle, Rich Masidi of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. You're looking at S3 Hot and Nasty. Hot and Nasty. Sponsors include Lexington Fire Protection, CNJ Auto Collision, WHM Plumbing, Cody Marine. There on the outside is Feeling Wet. Now, Feeling Wet and Hot and Nasty are basically identical boats, and right now they're fighting it out for second place here. The Santa Chevy's in first, up ahead by a few miles. But right now it's between Hot and Nasty and Feeling Wet battling out in S-Class for second place. Now, as we look at Hot and Nasty on the inside, we also want to tell you that the Hot and Nasty racing team would like to thank Pete from Cobra, Doug from Pro Marine, and maintenance by Brandon Kuhn as well. If you're looking at Hot and Nasty on the inside, Feeling Wet on the outside, fighting for second place in S-Class. Feeling Wet on the outside is also, as we say, a 30-foot Cobra. They are identical boats, powered by two 2.5 EFIs. Hot and Nasty throttle man, Rich City, doing an excellent job with those engines, and there's Feeling Wet on the outside. Very close race here. Very close race. Some good competition between these two boats, which are basically identical. As we were saying, Hot and Nasty is on the inside, just a little bit ahead right now of Feeling Wet, which is out of your picture at the moment. Throttle man, Richmond City, you can see him working the throttles, trying to get the advantage. Just listen to those 2.5 EFIs. Hot and Nasty has picked up some ground there on Feeling Wet on the outside, and just really just in the last minute or so. Feeling Wet is a 30-foot Cobra powered by two 2.5 EFIs. Gary Riccio is the driver of Feeling Wet. He's from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. At the throttle is Brian Riccio, also of Point Pleasant. This is Feeling Wet's first race for the 1993 season. This is a new boat. Feeling Wet currently in third place behind Hot and Nasty in S-Class. There is Feeling Wet in S-Class, a very competitive class with Feeling Wet, Hot and Nasty, and Santa Chevrolet. Also, some other competitors in S-Class include Topaz, How Sweet It Is, Team Extreme, and Terminator. You're looking at Feeling Wet currently in third place in S-Class. You can hear Brian Riccio at the throttle doing an excellent job. Those 2.5 EFIs sound excellent. Looks like Brian and Gary are having a good time in that 30-foot Cobra. Not bad for a brand new boat being run for the first time for the 1993 season. Currently in third place. Feeling Wet in S-Class. There's Mr. Goodwrench in C-Class on the inside. Hot Nasty is on the outside. Mr. Goodwrench is a 28-foot Challenger powered by two 750 horsepower Chevy engines. Hot Nasty there was on the outside, currently in second place in S-Class. Mr. Goodwrench is currently in second place in C-Class. Jim Aggles is on the throttle as well as driving. Jim is from Peoria, Illinois, doing a fine job there with Mr. Goodwrench. Navigating is Phil McCombs, keeping that boat right on course. Mr. Goodwrench took second place in Lake Peoria, Illinois earlier this year and came in third in Montauk with an average speed of 73.27 miles per hour. Mr. Goodwrench currently in second place in C class. There's Gifford Racing on the inside, currently first overall and first in class. And once again, there's Gifford Racing. As we look at Gifford Racing, we see Gotcha on the outside. That's C76. There's Gotcha C76. Gotcha's a 33-foot Excalibur, powered by three 265 horsepower Mercury outboards. As you can see, Gotcha is making it through those rough waters and really plowing, but in control. The driver of Gotcha, Art DeVries. At the throttle, Chris DeYoung of Glenwood, Illinois, navigating Dawson Baker. There you see quite a bit of movement there at Gotcha over the waves. Rough waters here on Lake Erie, but doing an excellent job. Driver, throttleman, and navigator keeping that boat on course in these rough waters. Not an easy job, but they're making it look easy. C76 Gotcha took fourth place in Lake Peoria, Illinois earlier this year. Some of the sponsors that the Gotcha racing team would like to thank include 303 Products Autometer, Repair Electronics, CSR, Flowjet Corp, Press Express, Knoll Brothers, Trip and Crown, M&R Upholstery, Flaming River, and Lactite Permatex. You're looking at the Gotcha racing team, currently in third place in C class. Chris DeYoung at the throttle doing a fine job. You can see the difference in the water now compared to earlier today during the first race. Quite a difference. You see the size of those waves. Once again, this is the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. I'd like to wish the Gotcha racing team the very best of luck for the rest of this race as well as the rest of the 1993 racing season. Once again, Gotcha is third place right now, in third place in C class, right behind Mr. Goodwrench and Wits End in C class. There you see quite a bit of movement there with Gotcha loosening up somewhat, but the crew has the boat in total control. Good job by everyone concerned. C76 Gotcha. In S class, there's S36 Topaz, a 24-foot checkmate, powered by two 240 horsepower Mercury outboards. The driver of Topaz, Joe Zamore from Randolph, New Jersey. At the throttle, Stephen Green from Narrowsburg, New York. Earlier this year, Topaz took third place at Montauk with an average speed of 65.79 miles per hour. Topaz racing team is rigged and maintained by Ocean Outboard. You're looking at the Topaz racing team, the 24-foot checkmate, currently in fourth place in S class. Some of the other competition Topaz is facing in its class include DeSanta Chevrolet, Feeling Wet, Hot and Nasty, How Sweet It Is, Team Extreme, and Terminator. You're looking at Topaz S36. This is the 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge and Thunder Run. Second national race for the U.S. Offshore Racing Association. The total purse in this race is $60,000, but many of the teams are giving their proceeds to many of the children's charities, which include the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Western Pennsylvania, as well as United Cerebral Palsy. A fine gesture on the part of many of the teams. There's Topaz, currently in fourth place in S class. Steve Green of Narrowsburg, New York, at the throttle, doing a fine job, making those engines sound excellent. There's Topaz heading into the harbor, finishing up its part of the race. As we look at Topaz, we see Jaws going in the opposite direction, still having to complete its lap. Once again, we're looking at Topaz. We're coming to the conclusion of this 1993 Flagship International Offshore Challenge. Been an exciting race, really a terrific day for racing. Many spectators here enjoying the fine weather. We had temperature maybe in the mid-80s or so, and getting an up-close and personal look at some of these racing boats here, and also some of the team members. Once again, there's Topaz heading into the harbor. Soon we'll be compiling the final